Good evening. Thank you for joining us for this special conversation featuring our keynote speakers for the 145th Commencement Exercises taking place May 9th through 10th right here on the campus of North Carolina Central University. Now, today's discussion brings together three proud NCC alumni, each representing a different generation and professional path, to share their reflections, experiences, and words of encouragement for the class of 2025. My name is Truett O'Neill. I'm a 2001 graduate of North Carolina Central University's Mass Communications program and work currently in the Office of Communications and Marketing here at North Carolina Central University, and so proud this evening to be amongst these group of brothers who are going to be our keynote speakers for our commencement exercises this week. And I'm really excited. So we're going to just go ahead and start this conversation off. Ernie Suggs is a 1990 graduate of North Carolina Central University, and give you an opportunity to introduce yourself, Mr. Suggs.
Well, thank you very much, Truett. Yes, as you mentioned, I'm a 1990 graduate of North Carolina Central University's English department, which I'm very proud of. I am a reporter for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and I am a native of Rocky Mount, North Carolina, right down the road.
All right. Leo Williams, Mayor Leo Williams, the mayor of Durham, North Carolina. He's a member of the class of 2005 and 2015. Sir, introduce yourself.
Thank you, Truett, and it's a great pleasure to join my brothers here tonight. Like you said, a member of the graduating class of 2005 as a music education major. I feel like I was mayor of the marching band before graduating. Now mayor of the Bull City. Couldn't get enough, came back to NC Central to get my master's in education leadership and graduated in 2015. That was the degree that really made me feel like an adult. But I'm grateful to be here with you all tonight. I look forward to catching up and talking about where we are in life and what's going on.
All right. And last but not least, he's a 2013 graduate of North Carolina Central University. He's a communication strategist. And we're excited to welcome Reggie McCrimmon. Mr. McCrimmon, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm honored to be among such legends. I'm the youngest one here. I'll take pride in that. I'm the young buck still keeping hope alive. But as you mentioned, 2013 graduate, political science major, spent a lot of time on campus during that time in 2009 to 2013, doing a lot of the political stuff, all the stuff on campus when it came to campaigns and elections and student government. And so naturally working now in communications, public affairs, but also government relations, and so excited to be among these legends tonight.
I would be remiss to say if I did not mention this part. You are all members of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and all members products of the Gamma Beta Chapter at North Carolina Central University. So that's some exciting stuff. Let's go ahead and we want to go ahead and get the conversation started. Talk a little bit about what stands out about your time here at North Carolina Central University, because you guys there's some generation gaps in between the three of you, and I would love to know exactly a little bit about your experiences at NCCU while you were here, and we'll kick it off with Ernie.
Yeah, I mean, well, I always tell people that North Carolina Central University is the most important institution in my life, and that includes churches, schools, everything. Central is at the top of the mountain when it comes to my development and where I am today and how I got here. I arrived at North Carolina Central University in 1985. I remember the struggles of the cafeteria closing at 6 o'clock and having to navigate how you're going to figure out how to eat after 6 o'clock, and the long lines of financial aid, the long lines of with registration. Living in Chidley Hall, this is something Reggie talks about how young he is, but he has no idea what Chidley Hall was. But those experiences, particularly my freshman year, made me stronger. It made, I came into Central as a 150-pound skinny freshman with very shy, very, reserved. And Central from the bat teaches you how to be a man, teaches women how to be a woman. And I learned that very early, and I carried everything that I learned at North Carolina Central University, everything that was great, pledging a fraternity, being editor of the Campus Echo, graduating in 1990, everything that I learned and everything that I do in life, I learned at North Carolina Central University. Every day I'm talking to someone that I went to college with, whether it's on text or Facebook or whatever. I'm thinking about Central all the time. I wear my t-shirts all the time. So Central is always a part of me, and it's always going to be a part of me.
Yeah. Leo, what about you? What do you most remember about your experience here at Central?
Yeah, and first I want to apologize about the noise in my background. But the same thing. There were a few layers to it. I came there to get an education. Uh, I struggled my first year. It was a culture shock. I came from Eastern North Carolina as well, right down the road from Rocky Mount, Enfield and Scotland Neck and Hobgood, North Carolina. Rocky Mount to us was the big city. And moved there my senior year in high school. But I I went there for band, for the marching band, and I realized really quick that there were real there was real work I had to do. There were classes I had to really take um, that had nothing to do with marching band. It was a culture shock. I'd never seen so many girls in my life, and gosh, it was. I don't even count my freshman year, to be honest with you. And I used to be afraid and ashamed to tell this story, but I came in as a chancellor scholar, and by the end of my first year, I had lost that, and I went from a 4.1 GPA to a 1.9. And I received a letter for academic probation. And all I know I wanted to do was, be in the band and pledge to the fraternity that my band directors were a part of, Alpha Phi Alpha. But a few realities set in. That academic probation letter, and I remember going to, I think, registrar or somewhere, and I tried to change my address, but they had already sent a letter to my mom. I was screwed. And the other was, I was thinking I wanted to pledge Alpha, and I mentioned it to one of them, and I think it was Gregory McDowell. He said to me, we would never accept anyone that doesn't take their academics seriously. And coming from a professor, I would understand, but coming from a peer to be that serious about academics was a wake-up call for me. And so I took my music theory courses all over again and said, I'll get my act together. But that was the academic side. The operational side of it, technical, I guess, as far as financial aid and the long lines, trying to navigate that. I didn't know any other things. I thought that was what it was. But there were things that stood out to me that I thought were torturous, such as walking up those steps, the Jesus steps, and having to walk that hill up at a track, the McDougal Gymnasium, McGlendon Gymnasium, every day, and leaving Chitley Hall, and just, man, those were the things that are not on paper that I remember more than anything, that helped shape my memories. And ironically enough, later in life, you look back and those are quite memorable areas of campus. But my lifelong friends were met at NCCU, including the love of my life, my wife, Zwilly, who we have now restaurants all over the place together.
All right. Reggie.
Yeah, no, that's good. I too am from Eastern North Carolina, from Fayetteville particularly, and most people don't know this, but I was in the band my freshman year, and like Leo was one of the first people that I met at band camp. Didn't meet him, but when I came to band camp, we were greeted by alum and some older gentlemen who were a part of the band, former drum majors. I had my white T-shirt on, and I was there at the band camp, and I didn't stay in Chitley because it was closed, but I stayed in New Res at the top of the hill. And I had to take my euphonium every night from New Res down the hill up to the band room, then back to the field. And so I remember I got a little bit of ties there to the Chitley kind of area, but I wasn't in Chitley. But for me, what really did it for me, I came on a band scholarship, but I came as a computer science major. This was right after the 2008 election where President Obama was elected. And so I get there in 2009, and everything is about politics. Like everything is about, we have the first African American president. And I was just consumed by what that represented, what that looked like. Every person I met on campus cared about politics, were involved in student government, or were talking about it. It was a really hopeful vibing type of area. And so naturally I was so inclined to being part of politics. I changed my major to political science. I mean, that was a part of it, but then I realized how much math I was going to have to take as computer science. So that was a part of it too. But the atmosphere around politics really changed my trajectory, changed my major, got around people in the political space, And it really just changed my trajectory. And so, ended up, interning for Senator Kay Hagan as a freshman, and then going on to intern for Governor Perdue, then going on to intern for Congressman G.K. Butterfield. I was just all the way. I wanted to be a part of politics and learn as much as I can. And that was a huge part of it. So that really drove my journey during college. And it was a huge part of, as soon as I left NCCU, I went straight to Capitol Hill to get to work. And that's really guided my path ever since. And so Central was a part of me shifting my entire journey to the work that I'm doing today.
That's a good point. Do you feel like this question that any of you can answer? Do you feel like Central really prepared you for the world past the verdant green and the sloping hills?
Well, I think that as you've listened to all three of our testimonies, it has, because we came into Central under circumstances where a lot of people did not finish. That old saying, look to your right, look to your left, and one of these guys is not going to graduate. I think we all have stated how not how difficult it was, but how challenging it could be coming from Eastern North Carolina, coming from a small town to a college campus for the first time, being alone. But we've all persevered, and that's the thing about North Carolina Central University since 1910 is perseverance. So you see people all over the world who have these North Carolina Central University wings on them that survived from Central, and they learned from Central, and Central has put them in a position to be where they are. I tell people all the time that I had an internship after my junior year in college, and I was immediately hired for that job. I was immediately hired by that company. So my whole senior year, I knew that I had a job. 2 weeks after graduating, I was in New York City working because Central had prepared me for that. And I think that once we get to that senior year, once we get out, I don't think any of us have any kind of regrets, any of us have any kind of fears that we're not prepared, because we all are.
Okay. Leo, did you want to add something?
Just briefly, I totally agree. I actually used to think that, undergrad really did prepare me. I actually got a job. I got a job teaching music before my license was actually checked. They didn't even check my license. It was about 8 months in when the school district said, "Oh, by the way, are you a licensed teacher?" But because I graduated from NCCU, the reputation preceded me. Um, but really, my master's, my ed leadership degree, my career was very unusual. I taught music for 8 years, and after getting my master's, I was assistant principal for a year, principal for 3 months before being promoted to associate superintendent. I was prepared, and I used to think that our professors were abusing us, but really what they were doing was making sure that question there was no question about our preparation and our capabilities as graduates of the institution, because there were other institutions that were much larger, uh, and much larger namesakes, Duke University, Harvard, Yale, that you could have that on your resume and you would get where you need to go by reputation. So our professors wanted to make sure that we were prepared, that we could cut through that fat, and it's just paid off in so many ways.
Excellent. Let's get to this invitation. Would love to know how you guys felt when you received the phone call, email, or communication in regards to having you come to campus and be a keynote speaker. One, what was that initial feeling when you got that communication about this invitation? We'll start with Reggie.
I was like, "Hey, are you sure?" Like, I think all of us, and I'll just speak for me, sometimes feel like, okay, I've done do. I know so many people who I could get you on the phone with right now if you need a commencement speaker, like like who can like you traditionally would hear about big names and corporate and everything. And so they appointed, and then I saw others, who participate. I was like, okay, no, this makes sense. This feels right for the moment. And so, yeah, I was shocked, but then also like completely honored. I'm just honored by the opportunity, and it makes it even more fun to see who I get to share the stage with. And I think the approach that Central's taking to this is just so fitting for kind of where we are and what our communities need. And I just think it's a really dope opportunity. I'm excited about it.
Right. Leo?
Yeah, like Reggie said, when they called me initially, I was like, I'll go on the list because they would say, "Hey, we want to put you on the list." I was like, "Well, don't you usually get senators and big time lawyers and business titans to do that?" So I was like, "Yeah, but put me on the list." But when they called me and said they wanted me to do it, I was truly honored, truly blessed, and I never thought that I would get to this point to address my university on such a grand occasion. And I've done a lot of things, but I think this right here is at the top of the mountain, and I'm just happy that they stuck with me and they allowed me to put my name on the list, and then for some reason they picked me as one of the 3 speakers, and I'm totally blessed and honored by that, and still somewhat shocked, I have to say.
I'm with both of you guys. This might be a little imposter syndrome, actually. I remember vividly my commencement speaker, as well as several after. And then I started looking on YouTube, and I started looking up commencement speakers, and I was like, wow, Denzel Washington, just all of these, like Barack Obama, Michelle Obama. And I felt a little out of place, actually, because like you said, Reggie, we've done a lot of amazing things, but there's still so much work to do. Now, I'm mayor of a whole city. I don't even think about that. I'm thinking about, all right, so who can I help next, and I did have to take a moment, after my chief of staff, who's also Gamma Beta, he said, "Mayor, have you seen your email?" I said, "No." He said, "You should take a look." And I said, "All right, I'll check it out." But then I got a call, and it was Brother Andre Van. He said, "Good brother, there's an opportunity I don't think you want to turn down." And I was like, "Okay." He said, "The university would like you to be, are you ready for this? The commencement speaker." And I was like, whoa. And it took me a while to process what he was saying. And then he said, "I just need to know if I can give them the yes or no." I said, "Well, yeah, sure." And I still didn't process. And then the young lady called me, and then I looked at my email, and there it was. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, this is an opportunity of a lifetime to truly inspire an entire generation. And I went from not even thinking it was possible to be a commencement speaker to not only being our commencement speaker, but also the following day, Shaw University, in one weekend. So Central prepared me for this. So, the occasion is here. Let's step up and rise up to it. So I'm super excited, and I'm excited to share the message. It's going to be a very charged message when folks leave there, like I'm sure you guys will do. People will have their instructions on what to do when they walk through those double doors, leaving that building.
Yeah, and Mr. Mayor, if I can jump in, Truett,
Right.
you talked about the whole imposter syndrome thing, and you talked about how you remember your speaker, and I remember my speaker was Dan Blue. And if you're just thinking 30 years from now, it's our responsibility to leave an impression that people are going to remember 40 years from now, which is a lot of pressure. It's a lot of, it's pressure that I think we're ready for, and I think the Central again prepared us for. But I think this task that we're having, and I definitely understand the whole thing about imposter syndrome, because I've been looking at YouTube videos as well, and looking at Steve Jobs and Barack Obama. I remember him, talking at Morehouse College in the rain, and just all this stuff. Chadwick Boseman, so there's a lot. We have a lot of big footsteps to fill.
Let me tell you this. I was one of the featured keynote speakers at the DNC for Kamala.
I saw that. We were very proud.
45 minutes before Kamala. And that was 20,000 people in the room, 65 million online. I am a little more nervous about this than the DNC, but I'm ready for it. I'm ready. Oh my gosh. This is exciting.
And you did very well at the DNC, and the brothers and the whole university is very proud of you.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Oh, wow. We're really excited about you guys being here this upcoming weekend for commencement. Without giving away what you guys are going to be specifically talking about in your speeches, what would kind of be a core message or the takeaway you hope that the class of 2025 will walk away after hearing your keynotes?
Well, I'll start. I'm still writing my speech now, but I do, I think I've talked to some people I listen to, I watch all these videos. It's important to tell my story, tell how I got to where I am and how Central led me to where I am. I think that's important, but also think it's important that I give them a message about where we are going as a country, where we're going as a nation, as a world, and even as a city, as a university. Every class has different challenges, and I think it's important to kind of illustrate what those challenges are and give them a chart as to how they can meet these challenges. So that's the kind of theme I'm working on. Again, I'm still writing it. I'm a reporter, so I like to work on deadlines. So this might not be done until Friday at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah, I think all of us went to college, so those late night deadline pressured type of assignments turn out to be the best sometimes. I don't promote that as a practice, but it's inevitably a practice. So I again, the same, I was thinking about how inspirational I can be, but there is I don't know, there's just a sense of urgency. And not a sense of urgency to get something done, but a sense of urgency to be really aware of what's happening. And this is a moment where it's no need to panic about where we are. It's a need to be aware of where we are because we've been here before. And in order to move forward, we have to look back. We've been through this before. And there's a traditional expectation of the now, meaning you graduated, you've done your part, you've done the hard work, now go out and get a job, get a good job and get your family, pay your alumni dues and all that good stuff. There is nothing traditional about the expectation of this now. And that's where the instructions are going to come in. And I hope that the antidotes that I give are going to be, yes, inspiring, but definitely charged. Um, I like I said, I hope people will take my words with a very reflective. Um, I just want them to be really reflective and listening to what I share with them. This is a very serious moment. I literally just was in Parliament in the UK last week, and something very powerful happened. The second most powerful person in Parliament sat me down for lunch and said, "What is going on in your country, and what are you going to do about it?" That's my question to the graduates. What is going on in our country, and what are you going to do about it? I want to share them with what I'm doing. I want to give them some things that they can do.
Well, clearly, I was going to attend both of your sessions because y'all go before I do, but I'm not going to go now because it's going to impact my ability to to say what I was going to say. But my points are right along that line of we're in a very unique moment, a moment that is unique but not uncommon, not somewhere we haven't seen or studied or been prepared for. And I just believe all of us are called for our unique moments to meet whatever moment we find ourselves in, whatever however we're supposed to show up in those moments. And so I'm along the lines and we'll be speaking from how do we meet this moment, and to encourage whoever's there, from the person who's going to graduate, with the highest honors to the person who's like, man, I barely made it and I don't know where I'm going to be in 2 months. Right. I want both individuals to walk away with a sense of, I have what I need to meet this moment. And so how do I, better equip myself, and how do I work with those around me to meet this moment that we find ourselves in? So I think uniquely all of us are going to have a bit of a political flair to some of our remarks. We'll just because of the nature of who we are and what we represent. And so I'm excited about that. But that's where I'm thinking, and I too have an outline, but we'll be having to meet a deadline here soon. So
Good stuff. Well, as we wrap up this conversation, I want to thank each of you for your time, your stories, and your continued commitment to NCCU, North Carolina Central University. Before we close, I would like to give each of you one final moment to share a final thought, whether it's a word of advice, personal reflection, or simply something else you would like to say to the class of 2025. And we'll go and start with you, Ernie.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to say, to cherish these last few days on campus, because these are the best times of your life. But also be looking forward to a great challenge of being an adult, or you're already an adult, but the great challenge of going out there in the world and conquering it. You're at this particular moment right now in your life that you're never going to get back. So I would use this as an opportunity to kind of reflect and to be positive, and just to think about, you are about to change the world. You're about to enter a whole new aspect of your life, and it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I would just, you've made it through what you thought was the hard part. Actually, that was fairly easy. Now it's time to be the authors of today and tomorrow, and you can't wait. There are so many times where you graduate with a particular degree and then you find yourself either being productive or not productive. We can't afford for you not to be productive. There are just some things that we can no longer be as sensitive to. So there are some hard truths that it's time to accept. And adulting is hard, but it's not impossible. Yeah, there are more people relying on you that you would never even meet than you could even imagine. And this is now your moment to show up for them, for yourself, for your family. And there are no excuses available in the inventory for you to take advantage of. So take the challenge, take it on, dive in head first. But you were made for this. You went to Central.
And I would just add, like, this is a huge celebration, and enjoy it. There's rarely a couple of times where everybody comes in and be able to celebrate you and your accomplishments. And while there will be definitely a lot of time to motivate and for us to think about the hard work that we have to do, I would say celebrate, enjoy it, use the university healthcare for as long as you got it. Go get your checkups. You use all of your cash on your cards for the gym, for any of the benefits you get on campus. Go ahead and enjoy that last little bit this week. Hydrate, drink a lot of water, get some rest. And if you go out, make sure you don't miss your call time the next morning. And we'll be there to celebrate you. And I want us to make sure we're staying focused on kind of what that means and why that's so significant for so many folks in our community, and how this moment is important. And that's what Central does, right? Where others might not have gotten the opportunity, many of us got the opportunity and have been blessed with the opportunity that was Central. And so this is a moment to celebrate. And I look forward to meeting graduates, celebrating with their families, connecting with folks, getting folks numbers, and finding a way to make sure that we can work together moving forward. Just the community that we're able to build among ourselves and have as graduates of 3 different generations, being able to pick up the phone and call these gentlemen, right? Like, not every graduate, not every institution has the ability to say that they can do that and connect folks. And I look forward to welcoming others to this network where we can lean on each other to be present for the moment so that we can meet this moment for today.
And just a quick reminder that our 145th Commencement Exercises kicks off this Friday, May 9th at 2:00 p.m. Our baccalaureate ceremony number 1, featuring our College of Health and Sciences and School of Education with our keynote speaker, Mayor of Durham, North Carolina, Mayor Leonardo Williams. On Saturday, May 10th, 9 a.m., our graduate and professional ceremony. Our keynote speaker is Ernie Suggs. And to round it all off, at 2:00 on Saturday, our baccalaureate ceremony 2, featuring our colleges of arts, social sciences, humanities, and our School of Business, with our keynote speaker, Reggie McCrimmon. For additional information about our 145th commencement exercises, including parking, our clear bag policy, and more, log on to our website at nccu.edu. This has been an exciting conversation with the 3 of you, alumnus of North Carolina Central University, members of Alpha Phi Alpha, the Gamma Beta chapter here at North Carolina Central University. You have flown, you have soared, and done so much great work. But as you speak to our graduates, your work is not done either. You continue to soar. So we're excited to see what more you will contribute to society and to greater good for everyone. And we're grateful for you participating in this evening's conversation. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much for having me.
No
Thanks,
problem.
Drew. See you all soon.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
All right, we're going to leave with Where Purpose Takes Flight. Just a quick reminder, and we'll see you on Friday starting at 2:00 p.m. Mayor Leo Williams kicks us off with our 145th Commencement Exercises.
Embrace the bold. And get ready to reveal the legacy within you. At North Carolina Central University, aspirations turn into achievement. We grow and we lead, propelled by a rich history and a vision that never stops. From lectures to labs, from books to beats, we build tomorrow. Grit unites us. Ambition drives us. We take flight. Join us if you're prepared to soar. Be bold. Be successful. Be an eagle. North Carolina Central University, where purpose takes flight.